tell both of you, the second your podcast dropped, I squealed like the little piggy that I am. I mean, I was so excited, and I'm so glad that the internet followed suit because y'all are on top of the world with this podcast. So I guess my first question for
Oh,
both of you
thank
is,
you.
how
Thank
does
you.
it feel to the response to ReLiving Single?
Grateful. We always knew that there was a real fan engagement and love for the series. It's past its 30-year point, and it's now going into 32 years or 33. Excuse me. That's been on the air, and I think that it's been sort of under when you don't like go into something enough, it's not, it hasn't been developed. And
Yeah.
so when something came along and it was like, what? That I've always loved that. And why shouldn't we be talking about that? Then suddenly all this energy that needed some place to go. People had been creating shirts and their own series around it, and commercials and ads and
Yeah.
all sorts of things. And then naming their kids after us. They're old enough to be saying that they've named after us. So we're very gratified. The other thing is, we have a story to tell. I mean, things move so quickly nowadays, and we're in a space where there's internet and computer, and it was just coming online when we were younger, phones and things. So the idea that we've sort of been a bridge to a new era is powerfully. I don't know if it's an interesting place to be, and you want to be a part of the archive that says what it was like, and then also be able to be young enough to say, and this is what we know for sure, and this is what, if we could have done it better, then we could certainly maybe use, that intelligence. But also, there's a unique one-to-one experience with back in the day having many more viewers to see you do your work, and now it's like it's a challenge. And so I think people look to us to be those, the ghosts of Christmas future. And that's what we are. That's what we are. That's what I'll say. It's nice to
Kim?
be in that space.
I would say, ditto to all of the above. And, I always come back to my favorite comment of all time, which echoes over and over and over again, is this is something I didn't even know that I needed. This is better than I thought it would be. It's something I've always wanted and didn't know it would be this. This is so much better than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
And so they're on the journey with us. They've been there all along, and we tap in as we can, but to have a centralized place for them to come feels delicious.
Well, I want to add to that actually, because I want to speak to that. Like, I remember, I mean, I was maybe when the show came out, I was a little kid. I was maybe 10, and I loved it. I was a part of that block of Fox Television, watching Martin, watching all. I mean, I was literally obsessed. And I remember as a little kid, I was the flamboyant homosexual who didn't know it yet, who went to school and was like, have you seen this show? Because none of the other kids were watching Living Single at 10 years old. I was. And I'm the one going around telling people, and no one had. And so there is that sentiment of, I'm in on something that others don't get, and I want to introduce them to the thing because they're going to love it. And the community a community of fans around Living Single and around all four of you women, who the central cast of the show, I think speaks to that we want to champion you in the things that not only that you do in your career since Living Single, but also in that you love Living Single. I mean, Erika, when we last spoke, the way you spoke about Living Single was so appreciative and loving and respectful. And I think fans really respond that you guys love Living Single just as much as we do. Are you feeling that from the fans?
Yes. We hope people see how far we've come and how much these stories still matter, certainly, because, we have a conversation around Black joy, Black creativity, Black community, the timelessness of that. And I start to also put into the conversation of, we're not siloed. It's not Black joy, it's joy.
It's
We're
joy.
Black people.
Yeah.
It's community.
Mhm.
as through a black filter.
Mhm.
And I say that, saying that things are a black show is a way to divide the community,
Yeah.
you that enjoyed it and saw it as a show that you could, love and was speaking to you. So I say shows with black cast, that
Mhm.
type of things.
Yeah.
I'm grateful, and I do think that what people are seeing that that's a form of survival. Of finding things that resonate with you and being able to talk about them as if they're yours. It's important that the
Mhm.
American story is a very deeply interesting, diverse story.
Mhm.
No matter how people try to destroy that conversation. Living Single is a testimony to what is great about, if anything, in America is
Mm.
storytelling and
Yeah.
who gets to tell those stories. So, really, really fascinating journey.
Yeah. Kim?
And to sort of drill that down, maybe I would say synthesize that, or drill that down even more, we're talking stories of women, stories
Yeah.
of being in your 20s and becoming and figuring things out, and dating and sex, and in my case, my character got married, and just figuring that all out. Those are universal themes. And again,
Mhm.
as Eric was saying, told through what would be called a black lens, but they're really universal themes. Everyone goes
Mhm.
through their 20s, and deciding what's next, and deciding who what your integrity will be, and
Mhm.
friendships. Oh my goodness, the universal, you know, the thing that
Chosen
binds
family.
us, right?
Yeah.
Right. And would you say friends as family? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, that those themes never go away. Those are
Mhm.
universal. And if someone comes into that world, they will see themselves. Even,
Yeah.
body types. I mean,
Yeah.
all of it is universal if you just come on and play with us. And so we get to talk about that. We get to go, as Erica always says, we get to go deep and wide into that.
Mhm.
And I've enjoyed reliving the show from our perspectives. There's stories, we've known each other for 30 years, but there's things I'm learning about Erica, things I'm learning about her perspective of the show, and
Mm.
perspective of things that happened while we were doing it that were like, I didn't know. And every guest
Mhm.
that comes on the show is telling us their perspective. And every single time there's always something, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And even though we spent a lot of time together, there's things you couldn't have known just because. And so I'm
Mhm.
enjoying that, the unpeeling of the onion, so to speak.
Yeah, I also wanna speak to that, the universality of sort of the story. I remember over the years, since the show went off the air, when people would describe the show, there was always the black qualifier of it. It's the black Sex and the City. It's the black Golden Girls, and now listen, I'm a homosexual white man, so I understand my perspective in the world and how I look at the world. But I felt very defensive over oftentimes when people would qualify it that way to be like, well, no, it's just the show. It's just like the Sex and the City. It's just like the Golden Girls. It's the same themes. You don't have to qualify it, but also you don't want to
That's right.
deny that qualification. So like
Right.
it was, I will say it was difficult for me as a fan of the show to sort of have that conversation because sometimes I'd be like, well, it's amazing that black excellence and the joy that comes from that. That's a good qualifier, but also it's so much more than just the one thing you want to make it the separate of. You know what I mean? Like, do you
Yeah.
feel that sometimes that like from I would guess arguably white fans, do you feel sometimes that they sometimes have a interesting way of communicating their fandom for the show because sometimes other white audiences want to make it something that is somehow niche or special, you know?
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, black culture is in the ghetto, and to be put in a culture ghetto by a conversation, it makes it niche as opposed
Mm,
to mainstream. It's like the industry starts to treat it like it is one instead of seeing our stories as universal, as Kim is saying, and you silo them, you underfund them, and then you act surprised when we break out and disrupt the mainstream. But it's like Toni Morrison said, it's a narcissistic thing to think that you are the
yeah,
mainstream and we are not. Black people have always been foot forward into the future, have created the American future culturally,
yeah.
not in a
Music,
way that
acting,
is
theater,
adjacent.
art, yep,
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
It is in the front. It is the reason why America stands so powerfully in the world. Excuse me.
yeah,
And when you label something black, you Hollywood tends to shrink its potential.
Yes.
That's, the artificial walls, all these things, around limitless creativity. We didn't build those walls. We're breaking them. We're breaking them all the time. And so
Mhm,
we want the audience, black, white, or otherwise, to talk about us like they were the Jeffersons or,
mhm.
the Cosby Show or any of those shows that they don't feel like, oh, that was over there. They're like, oh, that's my show. Put it on, turn it up.
Yeah.
Those types of things. Oh, that's my music. Turn it on, put it up. But it's a very sly way to undermine um, and again create a, a division that's we didn't put there, but also that again has to do with marketing, promotion.
Yep.
Who can say it? Where it's going to be? That's the American fiction story. That's why I love that story
Yeah.
because Cord Jefferson understood that, and Jordan Peele understands that, and Alicia Harris understands that these new auteurs are not playing.
Mhm.
And yes, they are black, but I double dog dare you to limit them to a skin tone.
Yeah. Yeah. Kim?
I was going to say that it's conditioning, right?
Mm.
And so we have to individually decide, and good luck with this, individually decide to not put it in a box or not allow it to be in a box. And I don't
Yeah.
know if we in I think it's an individual responsibility to go. I'm not going to accept that that is the black such and such, or that is the young
Yeah.
so and so, or the, whatever box. It's conditioned. We're given. It's given to us that way by the powers that be, and so we accept it. And Erica does talk a lot about not calling it a black cast. You're calling it a show with a black class, or a
Yeah.
show with. But I think the conditioning is so there and in place, and the walls are so in place that we individually have to go, as you did, H.
Mhm.
Alan Scott. And you told me what the H is for. Um, you decided that I'm going to break through that and go, I'm going to give this a try and see if it resonates with me. And so we get to
Yeah.
decide individually if something resonates with
Mhm.
us, right? And
Yeah.
that's the work that has to be done, the deconditioning.
Yeah, and one
Uh,
of the things I just as a person who loves television history and loves Hollywood history, I look at the '90s, and when I was watching Living Single, Martin, that whole block of television, in living color, etcetera, they weren't necessarily black shows to me. They were just funny shows that I was watching as a kid. There was no sort of, I mean, I recognized obviously the diversity that I was seeing on screen. And I came from St. Louis, so like I
oh,
experienced diversity in that way because of the city I came from, but also segregation in the way. And so I watched the show through a lens, and I remember Brandy Norwood about this, about Moesha, about how there was an experience in the '90s where network television, even if it was Fox, which was at that time, the more distant network television, but still it was network television, were greenlighting shows that spoke to the black experience, that spoke to black storylines. And then as soon as 2000 came, it was almost like everything changed and they all went away. And everything moved to basic cable or far off reaches. And on network television, there was no living single. There was no there was none of that. And it was just so frankly many white people. And so it just became that. And like I think what is so amazing about you guys doing ReLiving Single is that it opens people's eyes to, there was a reason why like Erica, what you were saying about networks and people in Hollywood sort of labeling the show in a particular way. But I want to know if you felt that in that period of time, that shift between when Living Single went off the air into the aughts, and how network television then just became frankly whitewashed.
mm,
Yeah, I remember it. I'll never forget it because, when it was happening, I spoke about it a lot. That's when I started being very frustrated. There was um to your point, if you want to see bias at work, real bias, you have to try labeling a popular series as a white show. I say,
Mhm.
fine, let's call that a white show.
Yeah.
Have people lose their minds. It's like they be looking at you like you're speaking another language. You have no problem laboring hours, and that tells you exactly how the industry creates cultural ghettos. And then suddenly, when the explosion of different channels came, they were literally able to start to create these
Segregate.
walls,
Yeah.
segregate. Oh, that's a commercial for that. But also, they're
Mhm.
also negotiating from a point this low. No
Yep.
longer are you getting the same amount of money for the the commercials inside of there, you're not even looking at the data anymore. You're just saying, "Oh, it's a black show. Well, that's worth that much,"
The
and
residuals are less, et cetera, et cetera. Yep.
residuals or less
Yeah.
everything. That's why I say the danger in there is. I think that if we started saying, "Oh, that's that white show," again, that's fine, but we can call sports black shows. We can call most of sports black shows. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
let's just
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. And
Yeah.
it's hard. Um, to not get political when you
Mhm.
have these conversations because it's a political conversation that has to do with justice,
Yeah.
and justice you fight wherever you can. And if you can't see it inside of this industry and storytelling, you can't see one of the, to me, it's almost ground zero. The story
Mhm.
you tell and the story that we enact in the world will affect you eventually. If you try to place people inside of something that they are the only ones, they will be attacked. They are vulnerable. And
Mhm.
that's, to me, a dangerous place to be. I do think that if we treat whiteness like it's the default, and if you saw that during those times where suddenly there was a CW, the WB, and all these other
Yep.
things that were carrying most of the so-called genre shows or the other shows,
Yeah.
um, then you could do, if you follow the money, you could do a real study about um, equity bias and just downright unfairness in
Yeah.
not only the industry but in the United States and around the world.
Yeah. Kim?
Um, I'm gonna be on. Well, first I'll say this. I remember I've told this story before, so Erica, forgive me. Um, During the time that we were doing Living Single, I remember going to the bank, and this little old Jewish man, and I'm saying old specifically because we were told that we had this certain, demographic, and he didn't look anything like anyone who we were told was watching the show in line. He squeezed my arm. "I love you girls. I love you girls. I love you. You're all so beautiful. You remind me of when I lived in New York. I love you girls." He absolutely resonated with who we were, the characters, the time that we were, the space that we
Mhm.
were in. And so I knew that was my indication that we're not, that other people are watching, other people are enjoying, and other people are resonating. When we get to the 2000s, I'm going to be honest and say that I didn't have the language or the knowingness of how to fight this. I didn't know
Yeah.
how to fight what I saw was happening. I most of my actor friends were not working as much, right? I wasn't getting jobs. And so
And you're
because
just off a huge show. You're off a huge
Right,
show.
yeah,
How?
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So, couldn't get work, and never mind the people, "Oh, we love you on that show," but there's nothing, there was much less
Yeah.
available. And so, uh, I didn't have the language for it. I didn't know how to, fight it. How do you fight the powers that be? And so, I did something very different. Um, I was like, "Well, so if those people don't want me, if I'm not gonna get those jobs, what other gifts, talents, and abilities do I have, that I can then just take directly to the people?" And
Yeah.
so I didn't have the ability to, to know how to speak to know how to change it, to know what to even to language it. Erica is so
Mhm.
eloquent in languaging it in that way. I just went very, maybe, what, there's meta, and then there's what's the other one? I forget the,
Insular?
You
yeah.
went to Mecca,
Yeah.
baby. You went spiritual.
I went
You
meta.
went spiritual. You went to
Right, I
Mecca.
did. And so I was
Yeah.
like, if I, am a performer, if I'm a comedian, I'm an actor, I'm a storyteller, how can I use those gifts and talents, ability, and then start teaching other people how to do it? So
Yeah.
while waiting for Hollywood to call, I had a coach at the time who said, "You broke up with Hollywood." It's like, no, I just was like, "Y'all don't want me over here. Let me go someplace because I know that I'm viable. I know that what I want to share with the world, and I know that I want to teach other people how to do it themselves." And
Mhm.
so I kept myself afloat by teaching other people how to have a voice, share their story,
Mm.
create their own legacies. And, off they go and write books or become speakers or become coaches and teachers themselves while I waited for, my my more eloquent and elegant friends to do what they could to change what they could in the business. I was like, "I'll be
Mhm.
here if y'all want me, but I'm going to be over here doing this other work." And so that may seem, we all want to, find our way to fight the powers that be, but I didn't know how to. So I found my own way of
Yeah.
creating something else. And when those opportunities come, I'm grateful, I'm joyful, and I do. This is again going very singular. I always show up in excellence and bring
Mm.
every bit of excellence to the party. And that's all I know how to do. Do you know?
Yeah.
So
Well, and I mean, to that, I've always said, at least within my own lane, like sometimes just existing is a political statement. If
you
you
ain't never
are,
lied.
like sometimes just trying to exist in the person that you are, be it queer, be it black, be it whatever it is, that like that people want to make you a political statement and your existence is just a political statement for other people's points of view sometimes, you
Yeah,
know?
just deciding who deciding, I always talk about being, deciding what your yeses and your nos are. So there's
Mhm.
also we as performers deciding what work that we won't do. There was work
Yeah.
sometimes, but there were things I didn't want to do, things I didn't want to say, and that just existing in that space gets to be, a sort of a line in the stand, your stake in the stand in that way,
Mhm.
and that's powerful too. And so you get to choose how you will be in this world, and it's like y'all go figure that out because I can't fight that, but I know
Yeah.
that I can do this, and that's where my where I choose my power.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I do need to speak to a recent episode of the podcast because I was eagerly. I mean, of course, you've had so many people on. You've had Ken on. You've had like many cast members from the past on, but everyone was waiting for Queen Latifah. And the way y'all broke the internet when Queen Latifah came on, what when I saw, because I get, listen, I'm the fan that has notifications on for when you guys drop a YouTube video. So let me just say that the phone tells me and I get going. But what, like, what was, well, A, why did it take so long? And B, what was that like having Queen Latifah
Um, Go ahead, Kim. I'll let you go first.
on?
I can't tell you why it took so long. I'll say we talk.
Yeah.
The six of us talk. We're in communication with her, so I don't know why it took so long for that. But oh boy, the anticipation.
Yeah.
It was like being home. This is the first time the three of us had been in a space together like this. I always refer to us as the three musty steers because we were ridiculous. It was a return to the joy that has always been there. She came to play and she came to reminisce and to be, and it was delicious.
Mm,
That's not I'm just gonna always just it was delicious. There's no words. Erica, you
yeah.
go, then maybe I'll come back and follow up.
Sure. Well, it didn't take so long.
Yeah.
It's We started this and we are just finding our footing.
Yeah.
Kim Fields was the first to come on. Her
Love Kim.
schedule allowed it,
Mhm.
for her to come on that early. And plus, it takes a while for people to see what we're doing and how we're doing it. Takes a second for us to, see how we're going to incorporate cast members to start to tell the story. So first we needed to introduce ourselves to the audience as us. Hi,
Yeah.
I'm Eric Alexander. They know me as Max. Kim Cole's known as Sinclair. We go to a zero episode to say, before there was this, there was us at the audition. So we're trying to create an arc. And
Mm,
so I think what you're seeing is not random. It is very intentional that we had a way to go and how to build up to some of the heavier conversations. And we always knew that she wouldn't be at the front end. She would definitely be more toward the middle or the back. That's
mhm.
also her schedule because she was on Equalizer and she's doing
Yeah.
all these other things. So, frankly, I think she came in as soon as she was able. And she also was enjoying the show and seeing how it was being, framed. So I'm grateful to her that she made sure that she got in. Sh- you know, um, Other than that, we had our other cast members who
Yeah.
were coming. So also the show is being shaped by the subject. By the
Mhm.
way, when she was first on the show, she was in becoming. She says that she hadn't acted really that much. And so, it's better to talk to her toward the end of that so we can have a conversation about how, again, not only we're you know, uh grounding ourselves, but also some of the other players are being played more. They're being more well defined because Yvette is writing, I think, a little bit more intentionally for some of the members who had um, more experience. So
Mhm.
Kim Fields is very much in the front of the show a
Yeah.
lot. I know I come in as Max, and so there's all these things I think you have to think about. Now, having said that, Latifah breaks the internet all the time.
Yeah.
That's who she
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
She's the internet breaker.
Yeah.
She's the queen.
Yeah.
We know who she is. She's also the baby of the group.
Yeah.
She's somebody that we can play with, somebody who looks forward to, she can relax and be
Mhm.
herself in the space. She has a very unique relationship with Kim Coles. They shared a dressing room.
Yeah.
The show was also built around those two. So they are, the origin story of this. So we had somebody to comment and be there to talk about the show and how it got to
Mhm.
start from a unique point of view. And then Queen comes in to fill that up. But also we get a chance to tell stories on her and people understand why she's an icon. It gives
Yeah.
a chance for us to set her up and, for people to see how we admire her. And so I'd like to think that her leadership and talent and her vision in flavor unit, the
Yeah.
entrepreneur thing she's built for herself and Shakim Compris, it shaped culture and it uniquely shapes all of us. We
Mhm.
loved the Queen before she was on the show, and we talk about that legacy with pride and
Yeah.
gratitude. And so she's setting a standard, and we're benefiting from doors that she's opening, and she's able to come on our show and discuss that. And frankly, she was right on time.
Yeah. Yeah. So agree. Well, I only have 2 more questions for you,
And
and
willing by what might
please.
I say, and willing to sing the Love Boat, full out,
Exactly.
full
Yeah.
out,
If you sing the Rub Boat,
with
then
no
you can
prompting.
come
It's
on.
like, "You wanna do this? Let's go."
Well,
Yes.
my second to last question for you is the most obvious, the one that everyone asks. I mean, for me, the Living Single theme song is up there with Cheers, Golden Girls. I mean, it is. I was that little kid singing in a 90s kind of world. Like I was, and I looked ridiculous, but I'm used to that. And so the question then is this begs to be asked, what you guys are asked all the time, I'm sure, is would you ever do a reboot? Would you ever?
You go first, Erica.
I don't know why she wants me to go first. So I've always said that I wasn't the person who wanted to do a reboot because I like moving forward. It's funny
Yeah.
because here we are doing a ReLiving Single podcast, but part of moving forward was telling stories about the 30 years in between, talking
Mm,
about the industry, the things that you're asking us
yeah.
about, the changes in television, our performance, comedy, all of these things, being
Mhm.
able to revisit that. Now, having done this, I see that there may be room for a discussion, but how? It's in the execution, and it's a very tricky thing because the
Yeah.
first thing people do is they want to compare you to somebody you're not. But
Yeah.
we've gotten now, at least this season, to tell them who we are. So that
Yeah.
may be a little less disruptive than just sort of seeing, hey, that person is. Well, we're different people, and that
Yeah.
means that it doesn't matter what we're playing. We play those characters differently.
Mm.
And I think there's a discussion that's be cool. I like to see maybe a movie. I like to see,
Yeah.
an animated series. I mean, we've all got
Oh,
very unique voices. There's a lot
yeah.
of different ways to do these things. It doesn't have to be in the format people think, and they can still delight in it. So
Yeah.
I'd like to say I'm more open to it now, maybe because I feel like I've had more of a say as a person, as a human being, but also looking into living single from here. Hindsight is insight. And that's a different Erica talking. And when you ask that question, you're asking a different person now.
For sure. Kim?
The reason why I wanted her to go first is I know that she was for many years, "No, thank you. No, thank you. I go forward. I don't go back."
Yeah.
And I was the one like, "Oh my God, I'm ready right now. Where's the set? Let's go. I'm ready. We all still look good. Let's do the show."
You're a
And
comic through and through, Kim. You really are.
let's go.
Yeah.
We are eager people.
We're right. Come on. What are we waiting for? And listen, and a chance to work and play with my family and
Yeah.
friends again, and to get a check. Come on.
Yeah.
And now, having done this show, this podcast, I won't say I'm less eager, but I don't need it as much.
Mm.
I feel so much fulfilled in having played with my my family again in the way that I've had a chance to, that
Mhm.
I don't have the need for it. If it happens, it would be delicious. It, it would be wonderful. It would be
Yeah.
a great opportunity, but I don't have the need for it. And if it never happened, I would actually be okay because we're giving them something new and
Mm.
something uh, old and something borrowed and something blue, like true blue and tight like glue, right? So I'm not wed to keep going.
Yeah.
I'm no longer wed to needing to have a reboot.
Yeah.
If it happens, it would be awesome. And, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot. We're talking, the six of us and what does
Yeah.
Yvette want to do and want to say. And it was a fan that actually wrote on a comment one time. People like, I want to reboot. And somebody said, no, I don't. They live in a perfect space in my mind, and that's
Mm.
where I'd like to leave it. And
Yeah.
so, having done this, I'm okay if it never happens because this is so fulfilling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've switched a little bit,
And
Eric.
what could beat Kim is living in the Matrix now that she's taken the red pill.
I know.
She doesn't need a reboot. Look at her.
No,
She's
yeah, she's in
off
the
I'm
in a
Matrix.
okay.
purple
Yeah,
world.
I'm
she could.
okay.
She
She's
could.
in Matrix. You say the
Well,
Wicked Witch of the West.
my last question for both of you is I love, I mean, of course I followed your careers and I've been fans of yours since the 90s. And Erica, you and I have spoken before on this podcast and in the magazine. And of course you had American Fiction. You've had so much success since we last
Mm.
spoke. And Kim, when you popped up on Mid-Century Modern, I immediately messaged Max Muchnick being like, "Give her a show. What are you waiting for, you coward?" And so I love what you're doing in your careers, and I want to speak a little bit to what's coming next for both of you. I know, Erica, you have The Fall and Rise of Reggie Dinkins, which like I said earlier, I squealed like a pig when this podcast came out, and I squealed like a pig when that was announced. So, what are both of you excited for outside of the podcast that's coming up next?
I'm hoping that my Disney show comes back, Vampirina. I get to play the
Yes.
the dean on Vampirina. I've never worked with kids before. It was I thought I was so scared. I was so scared. I was like, oh God, they're amazing and they're
Oh.
pure. And I missed them. And so I'm hoping that Vampirina gets picked up again.
Mm.
And I am still coaching and teaching, and
Ah.
I have something called the Story and Stage Society, where I
Oh.
teach women, especially who have visionary ideas to get their stories and get their books and get their platforms out into the world. So I
Love
so
that.
much enjoy that, and auditioning, and the next thing, we've got some other things percolating behind the scenes I can't talk about yet. But I'm excited about being creative
Yeah.
and being and using humor and heart in everything that I do.
Yeah. Erica?
Um, well, I probably need therapy because revisiting all of this has been really a mind blower. Looking at all them outfits and the makeup and everything, man, I'm gonna have to really have some heavy processing. Um, this thing has been therapy, so that's great. I feel really, again, in gratitude the way it's been supported. And here lately, for the past few years, I've had some really fantastic um, invitations from amazing directors like Cord with American Fiction. Alicia
Mhm.
Harris's movie Is God Is coming out, and I'll be in that, and that's cool. I was in Invasion, and Invasion
Yeah.
is on now, and that's
Mhm.
Simon Kinberg. Sci-fi, I love sci-fi. That was great to be invited there. So with the Fall and Rise of Reggie Dinkins,
Mhm.
it's a Tina Fey, Sam Means, Robert Carlock series
I
with Tracy
mean,
Morgan and Daniel Radcliffe and Bobby Monahan. I mean, I've had I would like had a deep dive into a different type of comedy, and I've had to just let go and not try to apply anything that I knew before, which is totally
mm,
great because I'm all right with that. I don't need to know. I just try to do what's in front of me and do the best thing I can. Um, sorry, the best performance I can, and that's been really good for me to have that kind of workout. It's like strength training.
yeah.
It's also mind training. It's also patience training, you know?
Mhm.
So that's great. And with Color Farm Media, that's my
Yeah.
company. This is in partnership with Heartbeat. There's a lot of opportunities that we're looking forward to, not just in the space of showbiz, but as advocates and to speak to value of the most marginalized communities, work with the groups in grassroots and in spaces like that because this world has become so difficult and complicated and to have those conversations, but you need to step up and have them,
Yeah.
not for ourselves, for the people who come after us, for the to show what it is like to fight and have difficult conversations. Definitely looking to scale that, expanding internationally, definitely building partnerships, certainly with tech and entertainment and through impact. We're developing new IP with
Mhm.
different partners. Um, Data-driven tools, um, curriculum, all of that.
Yeah.
We call ourselves the Motown of of, um, of we call Color Farm the Motown of TV, film, and tech,
Yeah.
and so I wanna be a global cultural engine. I wanna
Mm.
have conversations that travel across
Mhm.
film and storytelling and ecosystems and not just projects. So I'm got to, in that way, discipline myself to finish things. And so
Yeah.
what I'm looking forward to is finishing some of those things so they can be stepping stones to other things and being grateful to Kim and this opportunity with her to have this conversation. Thank you, Kim, because you have been a delight. And I know it hasn't always been, the easiest thing for us to get this on its feet. People need to
Yeah.
know that we're doing our best. But
You're doing
we are
great.
doing it with a friendship and a sisterhood, and I'm grateful for that. I'd
And
like
it
to
comes
continue
through.
with that. Yes.
It comes through, and I mean, it just comes through, and I'm so grateful to both of you for this conversation today. This was not a difficult conversation, and how happy I am for your success, and yeah, I'm obsessed, and I will never not be obsessed, so thank you both
Aw,
so much.
Thank
thank
you. It
you.
matters.
Mm.
It matters. We
Oh.
to be in these spaces, having these conversations with you on this platform
Mm.
matters.
Oh, well, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.